Hi, this is Jen with BritMums, and we are here on a BritMums Hangout today with Kathy Winston from Mummy Travels and my BritMums co-founder, Susanna Scott from A Modern Mother, and me, Jennifer, who also blogs at Genography, and we are talking about preconceptions about going to the Caribbean with kids. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Hi.
So I think there are a lot of preconceptions when people think about taking their family from the UK to the Caribbean for a holiday. First off, let's big one, distance. Kathy, tell us your experience and point of view on this.
Well, because I have a 3-year-old, I think a lot of people are very ready to believe or to tell you that you can't go very far. When it comes down to it, if you want sunshine in the winter, you've got to go. You're not going to get it within 2 hours. You've got to go a bit further. So you're already looking at least 4 or 5 hours, probably longer. Now, my flight to Antigua was between about 7 and 8. And when it's a direct flight, I've actually found it's not that bad. You get settled down, you get lots of things to do. You go with a great airline. We went with Virgin, so they've got all the films, they've got all the food, they've got all the entertainment. And actually, a lot of it is in people's heads. You fly out, and then you end up in this amazing place and have a fantastic holiday. So it's not as much of an issue to do a long haul trip with a small child as you'd think. The older they get, the easier it gets as well, and absolutely worth it for the trip at the end of it.
Absolutely. I mean, I can attest to our tween and teen that we went with. They settled down for the long haul. My daughter completed a knitting project on the plane. But I think also because a lot of these resorts, they're used to, a bunch of people coming in on a flight for there to be transfers. So they're all waiting there. You're whisked to your car where there's air conditioning and they give you a bottle of water and a little cool towel. And when you get to the resort, they usher you in. At St. James's Club Morgan Bay, where we went, you get a cool fruity drink, and they're like, sit down, here's all your paperwork, here are your keys. So it's not a kind of, fighting through the crowds to finally, check in after some long line and dealing with lots of hassle, that it is pretty well sorted at the end of the long flight. So besides the distance, price. And on this project... I
have something to say about that.
Okay, yeah.
Price, yeah. That's one of the things I think people think about when going to the Caribbean is, gosh, it's going to be expensive. It's exotic. And our group went with Elite Island Resorts, and the price there, it's about, give or take, it's about £1,000 per person, depending, of course, on time of the year, which is pretty good. I was talking with my brother-in-law who was going away at the same time. They ended up going to Spain. The weather wasn't quite as good in Spain as it was in Antigua, where I went. But he was the price that he was looking at with the resort that they like. It was about £850 there. So for not that much more, I think to have the guaranteed sunshine and the kind of exotic holiday, I think is worth it. I think a lot of people will think when they go to the Caribbean that it's it's this not once in a lifetime, but it's a big trip. I think that people will plan for. I think if you could get all those things right, it could actually work out really well.
And rolled into that issue on price is an all-inclusive resort. What were your thoughts about that and staying at one of those?
Yeah, our girls really love the all-inclusive. I was a bit hesitant. I mean, all-inclusive always comes with its, preconceived notions that the pay is going to be the same all the time, and you're going to get English food in a foreign country, which isn't really part of the experience. But I found with St. James's Club, where we stayed in Antigua, there was loads of choice. There's four different restaurants and a grill. And some of the restaurants were, actually the restaurant that the girls loved the most was the buffet restaurant. So each night they had a different theme, and their favorite night was Caribbean night. And there was also a Mexican and fajitas night, which they loved. But the good thing about the about the buffets is they could try a little bit or they could try a lot. You know, they could try. We even tried goat curry at one of the nights, which I didn't think that they'd like it. I didn't. Well, they knew what it was because it says all the different things that you could try. But they tried it and they liked. I didn't. Never in my wildest imagination would I think that a 10-year-old would like goat curry. But there you go.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would say that the all-inclusive, it's so nice to have the choice. Coming at it sort of a similar point of view again with a 3-year-old with the food. I never quite know sometimes what she's going to eat on holiday. So having the choice and being able to pick a little bit of things, or this is the day where she decides she doesn't want to eat one thing but she does want to eat the other. It's all there. But from an adult point of view, there's so much choice. I was at Verandah Resort on Antigua as well, one of Elite Island's other properties, and they have again 4 restaurants, I think it is, and a grill on one of the beaches too, and just the whole scale. So you'd have themed buffets, but then you'd have sort of the top end, more fine dining, and within that you get things like the water sports as well, is within the all-inclusive. And that was great because with a 3-year-old we're not going to go out all day in a kayak, but we could go out for 15 minutes, have a paddle around. She gets bored and goes, "Mummy, I want to go back to the beach." And that's fine. You do that, you have a bit of fun, and you're not sitting there thinking, "God, I just paid for half a day's kayaking and we've been out for 10 minutes." So that was fantastic. I love being able to do that.
I think for us, with slightly older children too, that all-inclusive gave them some much-needed independence because we did things as a family, and we tried sailing, we tried banana boating, we tried water skiing. It was like one thing after the other. But for example, my daughter loved the water skiing, so she and I did that again. The boys really loved the sailing, and I think we went out on a sailboat 3 or 4 times. And it's nice not to say, "Oh no, you can't go do that," because it's racking up a charge each time. It gives them a kind of freedom. And a couple times we were sitting at the swim up bar, having one of our all-inclusive fruity drinks, and they said, "We're going to go over and rent a kayak." We're like, "Great." They're strong swimmers. They have, it's very safe bay. They have, the jackets they put on. But feeling like they have a bit of independence too, and you're not worrying all along how the costs are coming down is so important. And that kind of brings us to our other preconception that people have, is that Caribbean, it's all about the beach, and it's only the beach. That's definitely something. We were staying in St. Lucia, and of course there, even in the resort, there were the beach water sports, but there was also, beach volleyball. There were activities in the pool. There was entertainment just on site. But then we did an excursion down the coast. We went to the drive-in volcano and the mud baths. We went and toured an old plantation and saw traditional chocolate making. We went to Hotel Chocolat, their estate, Rabat Estate, and made our own chocolate. So there were a lot of things to do and see, and we barely scraped the surface. What was it like in Antigua?
It was wonderful, and I think that it is not about that. Well, the good thing about, I think, well, I've only been to Antigua, so I can talk about that. But I think the good thing about it was that you could do as much or as little as you want. If you want to hang out on the beach, which a lot of the people that were in the resort, that they didn't even leave. They got a nice book. They had their drinks. They were enjoying the sunshine. Looking at the weather in England, thinking, "Oh gosh, this is a great place to be." We, on the other hand, were all over the place. We went ziplining. We went on the D-boat, which was this old oil tanker, which was parked out in the middle of the ocean, and you could go snorkeling. And they had a water trampoline and a water slide and Tarzan swings. We also learned about the history of the island. There's Nelson's Dockyard, and then there's the sugar plantations and all of that. That was very interesting, I think, learning about the slave history, and that really struck a chord with my daughters who are a little bit older. You could also learn the local lingo. Each Caribbean island has its own dialect, and Antiguan English has shortened words, so things like what's going on becomes what on. So we had a great time, learning. It was fun, and we're definitely going back. I think we're going to go back next year as well.
Kathy, what about with a younger child? What did you find beyond the confines of the beach?
It was, as Susanna says, there is a lot to do. I mean, one really nice thing with Antigua is it's quite small, so it's very quick to get around. So we went to Nelson's Dockyard as well, which is great just to wander. I'm sure all the Georgian naval history went straight over her head, but I was fascinated. For her, it's just, boats and really interesting old buildings to look at. We went to St. John's as well, to the capital. And went to one of the old museums there, and they got things like all kinds of memorabilia from the plantations related to slavery, but also things like old machinery, which she was fascinated by. And just taking a boat out as well, you don't have to be driving everywhere. You can take a boat and head round the island, find different beaches. We got a bit of a taste of all the history just by going around the coast, so you can combine the two nicely. I know there was a lot more I would have done if she'd been older too. There's zip wires on Antigua. There was a jeep safari around the island. Given the size of it, it's amazing how much there is. And one of our favourite experiences, I've got to admit, was in the water, which was swimming with stingrays, which was just fantastic. And she came in. I couldn't persuade her to stroke them, but she was absolutely fascinated. That was one of her highlights too. But it's the idea that all you do is go and lie by the beach and have the occasional swim is just, of course you can do that if you want to, but there is so much more to discover, whether they're 3 or whether you're 30 something. You can just get out and explore, and so much.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit of, you can experience the local culture, the local food, the local sites. At the same time, you can have that very relaxing experience and the freedom to kind of do what you want without worrying about price. So I think we've addressed some of those preconceptions. On the hashtag Elite Island Families, we've all been posting pictures and posts on our individual blogs, so people can go there to read more about our experiences, and there'll be more of those with tips of know before you go, with ideas of what to do, with inspirational images. So following that hashtag, Elite Island Families, going to our individual blogs, and there'll be more coverage coming up soon. Ladies, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.